It's not every nice or likable person that can make a great spouse. Coming together cannot put 10,000 to flight. Know that 10,000 will put you to flight. Marriage is not obligatory. Your intentions can be good, but your approach has a problem. And when the approach has a problem, it doesn't end well. I did it because I loved him. I scolded, I shouted, I spoke to him that way. She may be saying it out of respect is a man's food. A man interprets love. A husband interprets love like respect.
Today, I have a special guest with me. She's a marriage and relationship coach. She's a businesswoman as well as a pastor. Miss Brian, you're welcome.
Thank you, Henry. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Honestly, I'm super excited having you here in the podcast. Honestly, as a first guest, I'm privileged.
So am I.
So why would someone watch this podcast, and what would be the benefit?
Okay, relationships is central part of human life.
Okay.
And we talk about relationships at all levels. And I bet you out of 10 humans, at least 9 people are asking the question how to make it work in either one relationship or the other, probably with their parents or their kids or with their spouses or friends and stuff like that, how to make the best out of it. Because one thing is sure, when it's good at the level of relationships, it gives an extra taste and satisfaction in life. So knowing what it takes to make it work is worth it. And I believe anyone who is interested in that will gain a lot from this talk, from this moment of discussion.
Because over the years, I've seen good people, handsome people, beautiful women, like people with really good heart, God-fearing, but they end up having a bad relationship, bad marriages. Like based on your experience as a relationship coach, people like you meet every now and then, counsel people, what do you think can be the cause?
Yeah, that's it's actually a question I've had to ask myself a good number of times, having to do with a number of clients. From some of them are in different parts of the world, but there is this similar pattern that you observe. And yeah, I've had cases that are beautiful ones, ended so well, but you get to ask the question, why would such a good man or a woman end up in such a messy situation?
Exactly.
A messy relationship, messy marriage, or stuff like that. And it's worth thinking. And what is more amazing is I was reading a statistic one day. I don't know how at the time I was reading it, it was said that 50% of marriages in the US ended up in divorce. So you can imagine, and 50%, that's quite a number.
Yeah,
and
sure.
In the United States, ended up in divorce within the first 5 years. So that means that in 50%, we are talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Exactly.
So while growing up, we had this, while we're growing up, when you hear that someone is in a bad marriage or has separated from their spouses, or maybe they are going through a divorce, we just have this thought that maybe they were not good.
Yeah.
Maybe either the person or his or her spouse was not good, had a character problem, especially coming from my community, from my context.
Okay.
But while growing up and getting to know the reality, like you said, you realize that a good percentage of very nice people end up in really, really, let me put it that way, nasty situations.
Exactly. So because I know some set of people watching us right now, they are going through a lot. They are going through similar situation like what we are discussing now. And I think, and I know that someone watching this podcast will be this podcast will be a great help to that particular person based on the fact that you're here. There is a way someone can fix that problem.
Of course. All right, let me get straight to the point. I was talking with a course. I usually talk with some clients and I'm like, okay, this is how I approach such situations usually. When I perceive, I'll be like, okay, maybe if you're a medical doctor today, and probably before you became a medical doctor, I want to assume that you had a passion for medicine while growing up. Maybe you gained interest, you got inspired to help people in that way, to add value to people's lives in health. But you didn't just automatically wait for for you to get to a certain age, maybe 25 years or 20 years, and say, okay, I think I'm big enough. Let me just start practicing because I have a passion. Let me just start operating on people because I have a passion to see people fine. You didn't just go and do that like that because it's absurd.
Exactly.
You were intentional. You decided, you went to school, primary, secondary, college. You study day and night. Sometimes you spend nights studying, getting knowledge, getting different ideas, putting together, reasoning out, looking for every principle of success in that domain of your life. So that when you become a medical doctor, you excel and you do your job well. Yes, it was a passion, but you learned how to harness it in a way that it could be productive and it could be useful. So you learned every principle. Now, you see the same medical doctor who invested so many years of his life in making it work in his career can be failing woefully in his marriage. Because the same medical doctor or lawyer or business person, more often than not, you see people are so intentional about their careers, they're intentional about their finances, they're intentional about even their hobbies.
Exactly.
But they don't know that even marriage is an institution. Marriage needs to be learned. Marriage has principles of success that govern it. And I bet you, if you're not doing what works, you're obviously doing what does not work.
So what you're saying is like a whole process for you to learn.
Yeah. And the good thing about marriage is that you don't learn, it's a lifetime learning process. Just like anybody who understands principles of success in every domain, you have to be willing to learn for a lifetime. Yes. So what would be my first point if I have to talk on the part of marriage? I've come to realize that a lot of times we get into marriage with expectations based on assumptions.
Okay.
Not based on actual facts. Because we're like, okay, we expect normally, she's a good girl. She was brought up from a good home. For example, this is my sister, Sarah, or a friend, Sarah. She's brought up from a good home. She's just a nice girl. I mean, I'm not saying nice girl like I'm trying to please her. She's a nice girl. She's responsible. She's caring and everything. My girl too is a good guy, but they get married and it's not just working at all. They're doing everything to make it work. They come to realize that, but they're really nice, but what's the problem? But you come to realize that they're both of them assumed because he's a nice guy, she's a nice girl, automatically it's gonna work. No, It doesn't work like that. Why didn't you just say because I'm a nice person with good intentions, automatically I can start operating on people? You understand? Yeah. You had to learn to be a surgeon to do that. You had to be taught how to handle the knife on somebody's body. So something that has to do with a lifetime journey like that, I've realized that people are more intentional about their weddings than about the marriage itself. A wedding is a good thing. Do it as big as your pockets can afford. But exactly. You see the level at which people are dedicated. You see, for example, a lady preparing for her wedding, she's intentional about every detail, even the colors. She studies about color blends. She goes about searching, doing research on every detail that that is required to make it perfect. Even getting wedding organizers, coaches, people to help them through the process. But about the marriage, she's kind of like assuming. She has expectations. This guy will be good to me because he's a nice guy. No. He can be good to you. The woman can be good to you. But when it comes to marriage, there are needs that need to be met. Wow. And marriage is about meeting needs. So that gets me to another point. Yes, I want you to have expectations. There is no problem having expectations. I usually hear people say, you usually get disappointed in marriage because you have expectations. There's no problem having expectations. Expectations is part of life. That's what gives us hope. But the problem is, what are your expectations based on? On assumptions or on facts? On practical facts? The reason why I should expect that this marriage should work is because I have learned the principles of success and I'm applying them.
We're going to talk about principles. Yeah. Like, what are some of those principles that can help the situation?
Okay, talking about principles, I remember my mentor always said that, marriage is like 60% principles and 40% love. Okay. Yeah, principles actually are the right principles of success in marriage actually help the love to grow and to stay and to grow, to stay and to keep growing.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, when you ask of principles, I'll start from the foundation.
Okay.
We don't move into a house before building the foundation of the house. You build the foundation of a marriage while you're single. In other words, you have to first understand marriage and the idea behind marriage. It's not if you don't understand why you want to be married,
Okay.
if you don't understand why marriage is important to you, you may likely find yourself in a position where you may be pressured to get married.
Okay.
So the first foundation is understanding why. And then secondly, when you understand why, you come to understand that marriage has much to do with fulfilling destiny.
Okay.
With fulfilling purpose. And when you understand why marriage is important, you will now understand. When you understand how important marriage is, you're going to consider the partner you choose. Those are foundational things. You're now building your expectation. Now, I understand that I'm not just getting married just because I want to get married. I'm getting married because it's a measure part in fulfilling purpose, in pleasing God, because I'm a Christian.
Okay.
I put God first.
Exactly.
Now you understand, you get to realize that I don't just want to choose a partner because I find him cute, or he's a cute guy, he's loaded, or he's cute, everybody's talking about him. I'll choose him because I see that we can work together. Like the Bible says that can two work together unless they agree. So the real context of marriage coming together is because you can agree. You are compatible. Compatibility has more to do with being intentional. We can agree. You're going on a very long journey.
Okay.
If you're going on a very long journey and you need a companion, you need someone to walk with you, won't you want to walk with someone with whom you can agree? We are going left. Okay, yes, we see that together we can go left. You see, the journey is going to be enjoyable.
Exactly.
But when at every point of the time your partner wants to go right, you are going left. Both of you can be sincerely, you're sincere about your directions, but you are not going the same way. It cannot work. You meet someone at the airport, for example, you are in transit, you're going to the US and you go to Europe. That's how some people get married. You're both nice people going to great destinations, but maybe the transit took you 24 hours and you got to know yourselves and you just fell in love,
Yeah.
Let me just put you on a journey and you just love and you just say, okay, we love ourselves and let's just marry. We love ourselves. Then after the marriage, you've consummated. Let me say, I'm just trying to assume a scenario. And then at the end of the day, when you're done and they realize that, oh, it's time to board the next plane, then you ask your partner, which direction are you taking? And you realize that you're going in totally opposite directions of life,
Exactly.
But you're married. How do you handle it now?
So I think here, the most important thing, it is a foundation.
The foundation. That is the strength of a marriage. And the foundation is built before. While you are single, while you're courting, those are pertinent moments where you shouldn't joke with what the kind of decisions you make. Because it will determine a lot about it will determine your strength. Because I can assure you, when you get married, challenges will come.
Yeah.
The union has to be tested.
Okay.
For you to move to the next level, to have, when the Bible says one shall chase 1,000 and two shall put 10,000 to flight. I always tell people, if you two coming together cannot put 10,000 to flight, know that 10,000 will put you to flight. That's why I see some people are like, when I was single, it's like life was better, but I got married and it's just so stressful. Problems from everywhere. I said, yes. That's the beauty of it, because if you succeed as a couple, as a team, you know how to work it out. You know the how to go about it. You realize that together you put to flight 10,000. It means you have 10 times, the rewards will be 10 times bigger than when you were single.
Wow.
But if you don't know how to work it out, if you don't know how, you just go on assumptions. Assumptions is really a very low level of knowledge.
Okay.
I had an experience back when I was still, many years ago, when I was not yet married. I remember a friend of mine who was kind of close at the time came to my house, he paid me a visit, and I had this library in my sitting room.
Yeah.
We're students, but I had, I used to have my sitting, my parlor. I had a library.
Exactly.
A small library. It was made for me, and I used to have my books there. And he looked through my library and noticed that most of my books, a lot of them, he could count. There were so many of them on marriage, family life, and stuff like that. And then he turned to ask me, "Why do you have so many books on marriage? What are you using this for?" I was like, I read them and I read it over and over. He started laughing at me that he was like, he was almost making a mockery of me, and I felt embarrassed and timid. I remember he even went to, at the time we used to attend, we used to be in the same local church, and he made this same, he made this same comments before some older people, and was like, you need to go to this lady's house. She has so many books on marriage, and I almost felt they stared at me, and I was like, I was speechless, because I almost felt like, is it that I'm desperate? I'm not desperate. I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to learn. I'm learning about how to succeed in my career. Why not learn about how to succeed in my marriage, being intentional? I actually felt embarrassed at that time in my life. But when I finally got married years after, I bet you, the preparation was worth it.
Based on your experience in the field, you talk with people and you're really happy. Again, is it everyone should get married?
Marriage is not obligatory. Let's make that clear. It's not obligatory.
Is that for everyone?
It's true that in some cultures, people are obliged, are forced, in short, physically forced into the thing. It's not just about, pressures, like suppose that, my parents are after me and stuff like that. It's not obligatory. It's something that is meant to be it should be based on your choice. It should be a choice.
Exactly.
If salvation is not obligatory, what more of marriage? It's not obligatory to get married.
I think many people feel, based on the fact that the friend or the family member or some pressure make them to get married, and in the process, I think the main goal here, or the main dedication, it is the foundation.
Yes.
And the foundation is well structured, means you meet people, read books, talk with people to understand exactly what you are going into.
You have to be intentional. So, like I would say, if I had to talk to someone aspiring to be married and happily married, with the experience I've had in the domain of counseling and coaching, your singles, couples, and I would say it's important to be prepared for whatever. Like it's always said that when preparation meets opportunity, breakthrough occurs. But if it's opportunity comes without preparation, it can lead to a breakdown.
Okay.
Some blessings come into our lives and they end up becoming like a burden if we are not prepared for them.
Exactly.
That's the real definition of faith. Preparation is an aspect of faith. It's an important part of faith. So if you're having faith and you trust God for the best because you are a good person, you are good, I want to urge you, a proof that you trust God is to learn the principles of success. One of the things that preparation will do for you, especially if you're not yet married, is to help you know the kind of partner you need for a lifetime. It's not every nice or likable person that can make a great spouse.
Okay.
And there are also things about you that you need to work on. You may be like, okay, but I have good intentions. I always say it's not just about the intentions. Your intentions can be good, but your approach has a problem. And when the approach has a problem, it doesn't end well.
Wow.
Like you see a lot of ladies, for example, I did it because I loved him. I scolded, I shouted, I spoke to him that way. She may be saying it out of love. I had to counsel married women like that. And they don't know that respect is a man's food. A man interprets love. A husband interprets love like respect. On the other hand, let me talk on the man's side. Some men are like, some men body shame their women, thinking that, okay, if I speak to her like he speaks to another guy, like in that kind of way, she'll work on herself. You don't know you're killing that lady. A woman, emotions, affection, the way you convey the information to your partner matters a lot. So another thing that preparation will help you is to understand the male-female differences. You are not married to another woman, you're not married to another man, you're married to a woman or to a man. And men and women have a different ways of perceiving love, of understanding love. You need to understand, how does my partner feel loved? What's my partner's love language? What's my partner's background? Or what's my background? When you're still single, for example, you have to understand yourself. So that if you don't understand yourself, how do you expect your partner to understand you?
Exactly.
A lot of times we're like, but he should know. He should know. How should he know? Like I was talking with a lady the other one time, one of my clients, and she was telling me that she's not the first person to ask me this question, but I got really intrigued because I was like, but why do I keep getting this? She was like, do we need to teach people how to love? Do I need to teach a man how to love me? I was like, oh, that's where you get it wrong. People need to be taught how to love their partners.
Exactly.
It's clearly written even in the Holy Bible that older wives should teach the younger wives how to love their husbands and their children. You know, you have seen situations where you can see a woman, a mother, for example, she has a child, and everybody can see that she's spoiling that child. She's really doing something. She's not training that child well, but she'll be like, she's doing it out of love. So her intentions are good, but her approach is killing the child.
Yeah.
The child is rude. The child is just so... I know children, of course, you cannot be so perfect in training a child. God helps us in that birth. You know, we know there are also principles of success in parenting. So you, like I said earlier, you see people excelling in their careers, excelling in their hobbies, excelling in even their friendships. But when it comes to marriage, they assume it's gonna be okay, and they're like, okay, because we love ourselves. Love on its own cannot thrive. And if your love is just about emotions, then you got it very wrong.
Thank you so much as well for watching. Hope to see you guys again. If you really want her, because she's having a lot, just comment. And also you can follow her on Facebook, right?
Yeah, on Facebook I have even one-on-one coaching. I have a Facebook page, Intimate Marriage.
Okay.
That's the name of the page. I do one-on-one coaching for singles and married couples, singles aspiring to get married, and parents, young parents. And that's basically it. You can reach out. You can reach out anytime. I'm always available. I always create time. It's true that sometimes I have programs with people, but I always create one to listen, to counsel, to coach.
Thank you so much. I do appreciate it.
And thank you too for having me here.
And hope to see you next time.